The Kilpatrick corruption trial resumed today. The focus was entirely on the former mayor's father.
Federal prosecutors trying to show the jury that Bernard Kilpatrick cheated on his taxes.
7 Action News investigator Heather Cataldo is here now with details. And Heather, it sounds like the defense is fighting very hard to show there's a lot more to this story.
Yes, they are, and we'll hear more cross-examination on that tomorrow. But today was kind of like the battle of bronchitis. Both the federal prosecutor who is presenting the evidence and Bernard Kilpatrick's defense attorney are clearly under the weather, but that did not stop them from throwing dozens of dollar figures at the jury. It was a day of IRS agents and accountants testifying at length about Bernard Kilpatrick's tax forms and bank accounts. It may not have been the most riveting testimony the jury in the Kilpatrick corruption case has had to hear on this 47th day of trial, but the tax charges are a key part of the case against the former mayor's father. Federal prosecutors allege Bernard Kilpatrick cheated the IRS by failing to pay more than $184,000 in taxes for 3 different years. Former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, his father, and his friend Bobby Ferguson are on trial, accused of running a criminal enterprise out of City Hall. Today, the jury heard from the accountant who prepared Bernard Kilpatrick's business and personal tax returns, and they also heard from her boss, Alan C. Young.
We did what we were supposed to do, so it's up to them now to figure out what is what.
Both accountants said they did not know about the more than $123,000 in cash that was deposited into Kilpatrick's bank account for one of the tax years in question. But defense attorney John Shea was quick to point out that the accountants would have no way of knowing whether those deposits came from loans, gifts, gambling winnings, an inheritance, or other things that would not be considered taxable income.
There's concepts of intent and knowledge and willfulness that the jury is going to have to wrestle with when it comes to determining if someone has committed a crime, as opposed to it being miscommunication.
Shea painted his client as unorganized when it came to getting his materials to his accountants, as opposed to being an alleged tax cheat.
If there's an error, was it a material error? If there's an error, does it actually relate to unreported income as opposed to unreported something else that's not income? Every element of a false tax return case is in play here.
But the IRS agent said she did account for Kilpatrick's extensive gambling winnings and losses, and that her estimate of the $184,000 in taxes owed was very conservative. Agent Rowena Shook told the jury it appears he did not report all of his income. Another key issue that came up today, why the accounting firm did not have a signed authorization form from Bernard Kilpatrick to electronically file his taxes for 2 of the tax years in question. Legal experts say for these kinds of tax charges, the feds have to show that Kilpatrick knew what was supposed to be in the tax return and that he filed it falsely on purpose. It sounds like the defense will try to use the missing authorization forms to suggest that Kilpatrick had no idea what was being sent in to the IRS.
Wow, so sounding like today's testimony pretty technical, but fireworks could come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yes, as I reported yesterday, some very key witnesses are expected to take the stand very soon. As of right now, it's looking like Kwame Kilpatrick's childhood friend and former aide, Derek Miller, will be testifying on Monday. The witness schedule in this case is always subject to change. You'll recall that Mr. Miller was once a defendant in the racketeering case. He took a plea deal in exchange for his testimony against his former friends. So fireworks on the stand may be an understatement.
All right, you know you'll be there for it.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Heather.
Thanks a lot, Heather.